All right, so today we have Nelya Calev, a real estate legend
Investor,
in Seattle,
agent. I
legend,
don't know about legend,
deals
but
with Seahawks players, came from Russia at the age of, this is actually my aunt, but at the age of,
19.
19, came
Mm-hmm.
from Russia, started from the bottom, because I'm your nephew.
Right,
I've seen everything happen for the
right.
past 20, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen how you built everything, from the ground up, and kind of give us a little bit of your background on why you started, how you started, what made you want to start real estate. What'd you do before real estate?
Questions. I like that. Thanks for having me on today. Yeah, Isaac is my nephew, for those of you that don't know. I moved here in 1995 from technically Tajikistan, not Russia, former Soviet Union. We moved here because we were prosecuted for being Jewish, and we were in the middle of the war, Civil War, when I got here. We came to America. I came at age of 19. I actually failed English in high school. My English teacher, said the only reason I'm passing you is because you're going to America. You're going to have to learn English, so I'll give you a passing grade in high school. When I came here, I didn't speak one word of English. I remember week one, I called your mom and I was like, hey, I'm going to the store buying detergent. What do I say? What do I do? She says, you're going to say plastic, you're going to say paper. I was like, okay. I show up, give my detergent to the cashier. She goes, oh, I'm like, plastic. She goes, I'm like, paper. So we go back and forth, back and forth. She takes the detergent. I go home, call your mom. I was like, she didn't sell it to me. And she goes, what'd you pay with? I paid with food stamps. So that's how low we had
So you went from
started.
food stamps to now.
Yeah. And then your mom said food stamps are for food, not for detergent. So hustler me, I ran back to the store, bought a pack of gum, paid with the food stamps, and then got the change and used that change to buy detergent.
You think, is that still possible today? For
Not
people who
today.
are
I
like,
believe today they have cards. Back in the day, it was like Monopoly money, like little money
okay,
that they give you.
okay,
I don't know if that's possible
I was
today.
gonna say we could have got a little hack for
Yeah.
people who are starting from the ground zero. But anyways, I mean, it's clear you started from the bottom and you worked your way up. What would you say? I mean, people don't know your full story in real estate. They just kind of know, where you're at now and like what you're showing now, but no one actually knows the beginning. No one really knows except your family and like maybe close people.
True.
What would you say? I mean, first of all, tell us a little bit about the kind of deals you're doing right now, just so they kind of get a sense of like where you're at, because you know they're probably interested. What kind of deals are you doing?
So I mainly deal with a lot of multifamily properties, apartment complexes. When I say multifamily, technically, like if it's a duplex, it's considered a multifamily.
Yeah.
My husband and I started investing back in 2012 when the market was
Shit.
shit.
Horrible. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And our very first purchase was a little duplex in Renton that I paid 118,000 for.
What year was this?
2012.
2012. So like a little bit after 2009 when everything went down.
Right. So I started in real estate in 2007.
Oh, so right before the
Right
crash.
when the market crashed, May of 2007, I decided it'd be a great idea to go into real estate. Market crashed. I didn't sell anything for a year. So a lot of the people were going into foreclosures. I heard a lot of the short sales were happening. The little light bulb goes off in my head. I'm like, wait, if agents don't want to sell short sales, banks are going to end up with it. Banks are going to need agents. So kind of like I had that little vision in my head of like, why don't I start cold calling banks?
Go to the banks.
Thank you.
Sell the bank's properties. What the
Go
banks
straight
have.
for the jugular. I went straight to the
Exactly.
bank.
Yeah.
And I actually got in. My clients actually were Bank of America, HSBC, like VA and FHA, HUD, like everything that was in chaos. Those were my clients. So back then, I think is when I really learned how to sell real estate, because we were also graded on. So the listing might have been assigned to you, but you won't list it for 6 months,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So my pricing had, in a declining market, I had to price a property, and I was only allowed 10% plus or minus on my pricing. And if I priced it off, then the points were deducted. Like in high school, they would grade us.
Yeah.
The points were deducted, and if the more points are deducted,
So
the
if you
less
sell it
money you make.
10% higher,
then
get
you
more
don't know what
points.
your market is. You don't know how to price properties.
Oh, so you have to be exact.
You have to be exact.
So even if you sell, okay, that makes.
In a declining market, let's just
Okay.
go back there
Yeah,
for a second.
yeah, in a declining market.
You had to be like on point. So I think that's really when I learned how to do this business right. I had to narrow down my pricing. I had to pay attention to details. I had to constantly stay in tune with, like, what is market doing? What do I think is going to happen? And then on top of it, I also had to get people, like Cash for Keys was some things we were doing to help people.
What is Cash
move.
for Keys?
Cash for Keys.
You just give them cash for their property?
At the time, we give them a month to move out, and then they have to leave the property in a broom clean condition. And I show up with the check. Everything looks good. They get the money. All
You sign the paperwork. Everything's
Yeah, they sign
done.
paperwork and they leave. And I only failed with one person to do Cash for Key. Everybody else had taken it. So that was also part of the grading system, because banks didn't like when people went into eviction. Now they have to pay attorneys. It takes longer, right? So all of that was taken into consideration. So I think in a way that kind of shaped me and helped me become who I am today, in terms of being a landlord, paying attention to details, helping people, like my tenants, if they're struggling.
You're a pretty big landlord now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, oh my God, tycoon.
Yeah, but
I'm comfortable where I can technically retire.
Yeah. And what's comfortable for you? Because for everyone, comfortable is different. For most people, $10,000 and they're happy. They want to retire. For other people, $100,000 a month. You know what I mean? For everyone, it's different. What's like your kind of baseline? Because for everyone, it's so different, and I feel like there's really no like middle ground. It could be so high, it could be so low. It just depends on your lifestyle. But I know your lifestyle is mainly traveling and just like, doing your own thing.
Correct. I think you can go. You're right. It's so difficult to narrow down what is comfortable, because the more money we make, the more money we want. There is really no limit, right? And I think for each person, they just need to ask themselves is, what is my comfort level? At what point am I okay to let go? Because there comes a point in your life where you need to live your life. You need to enjoy it. You can't be working like a dog your whole life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you told me the other day about, you wanted to retire, and then you said, do you know what I mean? There's a guy, Uncle Steve, had $20 million, dropped dead 2 weeks after he retired. Rest in peace, Uncle Steve. Tell us the story. Like, what kind of happened, and why do you think that kind of shaped your way of thinking of, like, getting out of the rat race and, like, focusing more on, like, you know what I mean?
There were a couple of things that made me realize that. It wasn't just that particular story. But with Uncle Steve, he did save his money his whole life. When he turned 65, he decided, I am going to retire, and I'm going to, buy photo equipment. My husband loves photography, and that stuff's not cheap.
Yeah.
So he bought all the lenses, all the camera bodies, like everything he could think of. He retired, and they figured, we're going to travel now and, go photograph, go do whatever we've been wanting to do. Long story short, one morning he got up brushing his teeth, had a heart attack, and collapsed and died. At that point, it's like he didn't live his life to the fullest, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, don't forget to slow down. Don't forget to live your life. It's not always all about money.
Yeah. Yeah. And once you're gone, you're gone. You're not coming back.
No.
It's over. And I always say that, like, you're not coming back. There's no second chance. There's a second chance at a deal, at business, at certain things. You can restart, but you can't restart at life.
And you hear me say that all the time. I tell
course,
you, like, are you going to lay on your deathbed and say, oh, I should have taken that extra deal? Or you're going to lay on your deathbed and say, I should have gone on that vacation with my family?
Yeah.
Like, figure out your priorities. What is important to you?
Exactly, yeah. And I think for some people, whether they're older or younger than even me, a lot of them do the business, especially real estate, just for sport. Do you feel like through your career you almost did it just for sport and not for the money, or do you think it was primarily just to like rack up as many properties and then get that cash flow and then
I
move
don't know if it
forward?
was just for sports. For me, I've always wanted to invest, like always. I've been working on it like way before I even joined real estate myself, way before I became an agent.
Yeah.
I kept telling my husband, like, let's buy something, let's buy something. And you know, Joe's engineer. He
Yeah.
likes to analyze things to death.
Yeah.
So my thing was, let's buy investment properties where we can cash flow, we can retire and live off of it. That was my thing.
Okay.
You know, some people buy in certain areas where they want appreciation. To me, that's Mickey Mouse money. You don't have that money until you sell the property. So
Yeah.
I need the actual cash flow.
So everyone who goes into real estate with the thought in their head that I'm going to buy it and it's going to go up in 5 years is Mickey
it?
Mouse. That's not
But
worth
is
it.
it?
Well, I'm not sure.
So here's, I think, where my mentality is a little different, because I started in 2007 when the market crashed.
Yeah.
So that paranoia is constantly in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I had to kick people out of their homes. They had all this equity and all of a sudden they now don't.
Yeah.
So I'm always conservative, where I want to make sure if the market does adjust, I'm still cash flowing. Even if the rents do fall, I'm still going to break even and be able to hold on to my assets. And then when things recover,
Yeah.
I can, you know, go back to
normal how it is.
normal stuff.
Yeah. Do you
Normal
think
cash
rents
flow.
are going to drop heavily in the next couple of
feeling it.
years? Yeah. You think recession's coming?
I think
It's
so. I
coming
don't think there is avoiding it.
There's no void. What do you think people could do who are in real estate to either bank off of it like crazy or just don't get fucked pretty much? Like, what can they do? Because you've been through it.
I've been through it. I don't know if you can bank off of it right now because it's a little too late. I think the ones that sold back in April had banked off of it, and the ones that bought
Yeah.
in April and or May might have been a little bit negative, because in our area, I think the prices had adjusted about 15%
In Seattle.
from when people bought in April
Yeah.
to now.
Okay.
And that's due to high interest rates.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I think we are going to go in recession. I don't think there's avoiding it, but I want people to understand, because I have a lot of clients right now that want to buy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, hang tight. It is not time yet. Just hold on. I will tell you when to jump. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities that we can, you know, take advantage of, pick up some great properties that you can eventually use in your portfolio for retirement or whatever it is you want to do.
So I guess to kind of get deeper into it, more newer investors who are wanting to jump into real estate, do you just say get like a duplex or like a, you know, one house or like multifamily? Like what do you recommend for someone going in just for their first property? Because you said you got a duplex, but I know other investors on social media, they buy houses. They have like hundreds of houses.
They do, and that might be their comfort level. Also keep in mind, it's not like when we're like, I deal with multifamilies. Like, I don't like to look at anything under 20 doors.
Okay. Well, now, but like back then.
Back in the day, you need to start, when you're in the beginning stages of it, you need to start with a single family home or a condo or, you know, duplex, triplex, fourplex. Fourplex and under, they're considered single family financing. And if you buy 5 units or more, it's considered commercial loan. You can't get a commercial loan unless you have unless you have an experience.
Okay.
How do you get experience?
Yeah.
You buy single families, you buy little stuff. And then once your portfolio grows, once you have a system in place, then you can go on and buy 5plexes, 10plexes, and whatever not.
So you need the foundation kind of built.
You need a foundation. You need to build a system, because when you go in a commercial loan, lenders consider it a business. They're giving you a business loan. You don't buy it under your own name. You buy it under LLC. And then you have to create a business plan.
So I know a lot of people who are younger or even older, they have a lot of cash. You would say don't do outright just cash stuff, because like we're talking about people who are new and like, you know, they can buy duplexes, fourplexes, but say they have enough cash to buy like, I don't know, a 10-15 unit something building. They hit a quick pump on crypto or some random thing and they have that cash. Should they still go heavy into like some bigger unit type of apartment?
Pay cash.
Just paying cash. Or do you think
who's
they should
managing it? They can. But
Yeah.
let's just play it for
Who's
a
managing
second.
it?
Who's
Yeah.
managing it?
So you basically are saying you need the foundation of managers in
And
the
then
very beginning.
how do you know? Let's just pretend.
Let's pretend.
You have money.
Yeah.
You're paying cash to
Yeah.
buy a 10-plex,
Yeah.
right? Are you comfortable with running that 10-plex?
Well, the
Are
way
you comfortable
I mean,
with running your team?
the way I would look at it, just off of my, experience on literally nothing about real estate, I would just think about it like all you do. This is how I might be wrong. All you do is you get tenants in, you collect the money, and then you pay all the fees.
Mm-hmm.
For most of my stuff that I do right now, I try not to overcomplicate it, but I guess maybe that's how my business models work.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe for real estate, it's different because I know there are all sorts of fees, and maybe I'm,
You want to run into some of the
Let's hear it. Let's hear.
hiccups that
Tell
I
me
run
where
into?
tell me where I'm wrong, because my kind of way of going into it is just buy it, like you said, raise the rents, fix the properties of it, because I know that's what you do.
Yeah.
And just cash flow.
Now what can go wrong?
What can go wrong?
Right?
You're cash flowing, exactly. Yeah. So where am I wrong in there?
Okay, so when my phone rings at 6 in the morning, I
Yeah.
know something happened, right?
Okay.
Usually, and again, it happens more often than I would like it to be, but I think it's due to the fact of how many units we have.
Yeah.
The more units you have, the more problems you're going to have, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about like, oh, my toilet leaks or my roof is leaking or whatever. Those are normal. You call your contractor and things are taken care of. For example, one of the 6 a.m. phone calls I was awoken to the other day is we had a sinkhole. Lo and behold, earth opens up and things fall down and it's in my parking lot. Like, what do? Everybody panics, freaks out.
Yeah.
It's your first deal. What
Yeah.
do you do? Right?
I mean, logically, though, the thing that I can think of is just Google who can fix a sinkhole.
And I think you ran it. Yes, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
yeah.
I did.
You just think of it logically, right?
Logically, but then it's such a scary thing that everybody immediately freaks out,
Yeah.
freezes up, and doesn't know what to do. My tenants called police. Apparently, police had to come and arrest the sinkhole.
Arrest the sinkhole.
Right.
Oh, you mean put like stuff around
So
it?
we were
Yeah.
like, why the heck would you call police? Like,
Yeah.
what do they have to do with it? Police called us, and well, my property manager, my property called me because she doesn't know what to do. We ended up calling the city, make sure they send their engineers, that there's no other issues that we had to take a look at. But you need to like step back, like take a deep breath, figure things out. Let's Google it. Let's figure this
So
thing
it's
out.
really more emotional intelligence rather than just like
Exactly.
being, super smart. It's just being aware of your emotions and not panicking and just
Exactly.
doing it
You
logically.
cannot panic.
You invest in a location out of state that, once you say the name, we're going to have to actually don't say the name because you're trying to keep it low key because returns have been ridiculous
Up
and
until like syndicates found out about it. But yeah.
so now it's
a big deal. It's hard to make money there now.
Why do you think, you said a lot of companies are coming there, and how did you how are you the first, not the first, but how are you so quick to early to jump on that state and be like, okay, Washington is cooked, everything is messed up, I don't want to invest here. How did you just have that, intuition to be like, all right, this is the place to buy?
I don't know if Washington is cooked. I think the reason I had to get rid of my Washington properties because there was too many emotions involved. In a way, I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
Right? I was the one managing it. I was the one putting tenants in there. I was the one picking up those phone calls. Like, I was doing everything. Plus, I had my real estate business on the side that I had to deal with. So my husband knew the only way to
And
get
how many
me to
how
let
many
go.
doors were you managing in Seattle for them to kind of get
20 something.
So 20 doors and everything you're doing yourself?
I was doing everything myself, plus I was doing real estate,
Agent.
like being an agent
Yeah.
on
Okay.
the side.
Okay.
Oh, that was my main job, and being a landlord was on my side,
Yeah.
on the side kind of deal.
Uh-huh.
That was too much. I don't want to do that again. But in a way, I built a system in place that I was able to transfer over to my out-of-state properties, teach that system to my property manager who was willing to be molded. And, we have our pitfalls here and there, but we still run a successful business, I think. We're doing pretty good considering the turn market has taken.
Yeah. What would you say in the next, I mean, anywhere from 5 years to the next 10 years, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself growing a lot more with buying properties or just taking a step back and
I'm hoping I can retire in the next year.
next year? So you're done.
Whatever falls in my laps, I will do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'll work with those clients,
Uh-huh.
but I guess I did that this past year. I didn't go out seeking new business. I just worked with the ones that I already knew.
For an agent or for buying?
For an agent.
Okay.
For buying, my last acquisition was a year ago.
And tell us about that, because I know you did it with Cliff.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
April.
There we go. Seahawks player. You did that deal with the Seahawks player. I think everyone knows who he is. I don't watch football, and I know who he is. Okay. Tell us how that deal kind of went down and like the numbers, if you're comfortable with sharing that. Not sure if you know.
Yeah, no, I'm cool. We partnered up, so that's the very first time we've ever partnered up. We usually don't do it.
Yeah.
Because, we have enough money to play with where we're comfortable buying our own acquisitions.
Yeah.
So on one street, I have 3 apartments. That third one is the last one we bought with Cliff.
Yeah.
I manage 24 units, 48 doors, and the one we bought with Cliff is 58 doors. So we were in the middle of buying 48 doors. I was doing a 1031 exchange with the property that I sold here.
And 1031 is basically like once you sell your property, you have to buy another one within a certain amount of days.
Within 45 days, it's a tax code in IRS where you don't pay capital gain taxes.
Once you sell it.
Yeah, you have to use a facilitator that helps you facilitate it. You can't just take the money and tell IRS, oh, I'm going to go buy this. Like,
right.
Now that you took the money, you have to pay capital gain tax, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of issues that go behind that I'm not going to cover, but we did a 1031 exchange. We had a little under $1 million, I think, that we walked away with on this building here that I sold. So we were supposed to buy 2 buildings. We were under contract on 2 buildings, but the seller on one of the buildings had a lot of things that they had to figure out. There was a tree that fell on a building. I think 15 units or so were out of commission.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, due to 1031 restrictions on timelines, I couldn't wait too long for them to figure out what this accident that they had with the tree.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
So I just put all my money into this one building that I had. The apartment's name is Wedgwood. I put all my money into Wedgwood that I pulled from here, from this building. Well, lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, next door came for sale. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have.
And wasn't this guy like really old?
The guy was old. They owned it. They were original owners since it was built in 1984, I think, is when it was built. Original owners, they didn't do anything to that place. There was 58 doors. It's a combo of 1 bed, 2 beds, and we have 2 3-bedroom units. The rents were like ridiculous. When I bought Wedgwood, one of the tenants from next door that we picked up with Cliff was sitting there in one of the units that we were inspecting, and he's like, yeah, whomever buys this building is going to raise the rents. I live next door, and my rent is really affordable, really low. I was like, really? How much is your rent? And he goes, it's $300. Well, I checked on it, and we promptly bought that building, too.
The rents were $300?
Yeah.
And what are they now?
That particular guy is $650 right now.
But what are the normal rents?
The 2 bedrooms are $1,100.
Okay, and the 1 bedrooms?
The 1 bedrooms, I believe $800. I have to double check.
$800.
Yeah.
Okay, so
from $300,
you raised
$400 to $800. You doubled your rent.
Yeah.
And when we actually bought the building, we were not planning to raise it that high.
Yeah.
But again, the rents are adjusting, so we're slowly having to adjust our numbers right now.
Okay, so you bought the property for how much? For 58 units?
We paid $2.5 for it.
$2.5, and then your average like return, like cap rate?
Per month, I don't look at cap rate
Yeah.
because when you buy it and they go, oh, it's this cap rate, I look at what are the current numbers, a tenant's month to month.
Yeah.
Which means if they're month to month, I can increase the rent to either fair market value or at least bump it up by $100 while I'm remodeling vacant units. And vacant units are the ones that are going to go to fair market value, right?
Yeah.
And then the ones that are there are going to be bumped up by $100 or whatever it is that we can bump them
Yeah.
up to.
Okay, so to kind of
Everything.
give people an idea, at that you guys paid 2.5. You're partnering with Cliff, right? I know how we talked earlier in the podcast that if I were to go into like a real estate thing, I probably wouldn't be able to do it because I don't have the foundation. He partnered with you guys because you guys have the foundation. You guys have it down. You guys know what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be a win-win for both of you guys.
It was a win-win because I wanted the building next door. He wanted to get his foot in the door. So it worked out for both of us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I was bringing an experience.
He was bringing capital.
Actually, I brought some capital as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both have skin in the game.
Okay. But he just wanted to be in real estate. And
he wants to be in real estate. He wants to learn, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
He does great.
Yeah.
He's a great team player.
Yeah. Do you see yourself partnering with any more players?
I don't know. It's hard to say because I'm pretty opinionated at how I like things to be done.
Yeah.
And my concern is, are they going to be team player? I don't know those other people, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're going to need to sit down and figure things out. But then again, am I calling it quits, right? That's another question I keep asking myself. Do I
Yeah.
want to retire? Do I want to, spend a month in Italy or whatever it is that
Yeah.
we want to do? Dink around and enjoy my life and really just enjoy my life.
Enjoy, yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Or
you
do I
thi-
want to hit it hard again?
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes complete sense. I think that, for me, I have no idea because I'm just 22.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I still have no clue what,
And you don't need to. I was 35 when I
Y-
figured it out.
Yeah. And do you think that maybe like a couple years into your retirement, you might get bored and then you're like, I need to get back into this. This is not stimulating enough, sitting on these beaches all day and just like relaxing and walking around. It's not for me. Because I know what kind of person you are.
Tell me. What do you
need
think
some
I'm gonna
you
do?
need some stress in your life. You need some like action. You know what I mean? I don't think that you'd be the after a couple of years, I feel like you're going to be like, I need some stimulation. This is not
I
doing it.
might.
Do you think should
I
we go
might.
back in a couple of years to
We
another
might,
podcast?
But I'm working on the book right now.
Working on a book. All your secrets.
All my secrets are going to be spilled. You read it. You're
I
my
read it.
beta reader.
Everything.
What do you think?
I'm surprised you wrote all that. You know what I mean? All the information that's in there, because there's a lot of people on social media with, a bunch of followers and they talk and talk and talk, but I don't see the significant value of like the actual numbers. I think you put more numbers and more actual like concrete information, how to find the property, how to talk to agents, the relationships, the math, everything as a whole. It's clear in that book. And I think if anyone picked that up, whether they're, a beginner or they've been in the game for a while, there's something to learn.
There's a value in there. It's funny, my husband's uncle took it to read it. He's 85 years old, Uncle Neil. And he goes, sweetie, I didn't think I could learn much at my age, and I learned a lot from this book. That was huge for me. He was the COO of the law firm in New York.
Yeah.
I was like, really? Oh, my God, thank you. But the name of the book is Real Estate Investing, Nothing Held Back. And I hold nothing back.
Yeah.
We just sent it off to an editor. She, came back to us with some feedback that she wants me to tone it down and take it down a few notches. And then I'm talking to my husband. I'm like, wait, but it's called Nothing Held Back. Why am I holding it back? Like, why does she want me to tone it down?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot to take on for a lot of people. Like some agents that read it, they were like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you spilling all the beans? So it should be interesting. We'll see. I'm excited.
So, I think anyone who's in real estate, should be on the lookout for that book 100%. Because, if you read, you're not selling it to make money. And that's what I noticed about people who really, I read a pretty good amount of books, and the main books I like to read are the ones that people make not for money, because then you actually know they're doing it to teach you something. They're not doing it to make book sales. And so you're not making this book for money. You just don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore. And again, like I told you, I'm at the point where I want to retire. What am I going to do with this knowledge? I can't take it with me 6 feet underground.
Yeah.
I might as well put it out there, let everybody else benefit.
Exactly.
Like, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And then it's almost like a legacy thing, I think. you know?
I think so. And there's no CDs, there's no coaching sessions. I am literally spilling everything. It's all in that book. It's like a manual that you can go back to refer to.
Yeah.
And it's not just like one particular market we talk about. It's flipping, it's investing, multifamily, single family condos. I kind of cover a little bit of everything, but it goes heavy into multifamily world because that's what I deal with a lot.
Yeah. So kind of with what I do, I have a lot of people come to me and they're like, let's go get lunch. Let's talk. Let's talk. I want to network.
Okay.
And I'm sure that happens to you 10 times more than me. Because, I mean, your thing is more of a physical type of, not like a physical fighting. I mean, like physical. It's like we're buying physical properties. I'm sure you have a lot of people hit you up and they're like, let's go get some lunch. Let's get coffee. And you already know what that's about. But, what are your thoughts? What do you do in these situations? Because time is valuable.
Okay, I give people benefit of a doubt. It's really how you're doing it, because there's a lot of that does rub me the wrong way, by the way.
What?
When people call me and say,
lunch?
let's go have lunch. How about this? I buy you lunch and you tell me everything you know about real estate. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Oh, can I pick your brain? I'll buy you coffee. I have to take 40 minutes to drive to a coffee shop. I have to spend an hour with you to talk about whatever it is you want to pick my brain on. And then I'm driving 40 minutes back to get home. So now I spent almost 3 hours with you where I could have been doing yoga. I could have spent time with my family. I could have made dinner. Why don't you just pick my brain on the phone for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is you need to ask me, and we're good. Like, stop wasting everybody's time. I think that's the biggest misconception a lot of the newbies make when they want to break into this industry. They think they can do it same way that they do their business with everyone else. It's a little different. I'm not being a bitch. It's just, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I can't spend 3 hours with you just so you can pick my brain for 20 minutes and then we can chit chat about some nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's time, I think, is more valuable than anything.
So that really what rubs me the wrong way. And sometimes, like, as a newbie, can I buy you a lunch and then you tell me everything you know? It's like, how about no?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you go do some research, do the basic stuff you need to know, and then call me about specifics that you don't understand.
Like, you need to,
narrow down things that you want to know. Don't just
be quick.
Be
to
quick.
The point.
Like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, and I think it's the same with anybody. I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there who are just like, for just the love of it, for younger people, you know what I mean? They'll help them out. But I think that if you're a grown adult over the age of, I'd say 25, for the most part, I think you should be doing research online or books, because everything is free.
Exactly.
Everything is free. There's nothing that's not online. I mean, the Google is literally anything you want to know is on Google.
YouTube University, Google University.
Everything.
There's so many things you can pick up and learn. And then when you have a specific problem, like I had a sinkhole, what do? You call insurance companies, right? I mean, I can see questions like that.
Yeah.
We need to like sit down and brainstorm together, but when it's like random little things, it's like, no, do your research initially and then come back and talk to me.
Yeah. So when you go into, this is, when you go into certain investments, I'm sure people who would want to have that talk with you, I'm sure they'd ask you something like, what type of investments do you look for? What kind of, what are the things you look for to make it
appealing?
You know what I mean? A go deal, like appealing, and it's something, or I would say even for like the general, I feel like most real estate investors kind of think the same, where like it's always the same, like value add, raise rents, you know what I mean? All that sort of thing. It's always pretty much the same thing. But what would you say for you is like
the biggest factor?
You see it and you're like.
So for me, I have to, I usually, let's say I want to go into a new area, or the area we're at right now where we bought out of state. They have a lot, they're employer friendly, right? I look at, who's moving into town. What kind of jobs are they bringing?
Companies.
What kind of companies are coming? What kind of jobs are they bringing? How many people are they going to hire? Are we talking in thousands? Are we talking in hundreds? I will actually fly out to the area before I even do anything. And I'll go to the bars. I'll go to the restaurants. I'll talk to the, what do you call them? The people that take your orders, I forgot. Waiters. I talk to waiters, and then I just ask them, like, hey, how hard is it to find a home in here? Like, if I want to rent something, like, they will tell you everything you need to know. I go to a police station, I chit chat with the police officers, right, in the area that I might be interested in.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you, like, oh, it's transitioning, or so and so is moving into towns, this and that is going to be built, and FBI headquarters is coming here, whatever it is that you need to know. So those are the things that I initially do. I interview a couple agents, and then I hear what they have to say, because agents will tell you what you want to hear. I want to know what consumers say.
What's the real thing in the city? And like,
exactly.
So, okay. And so for someone who they want to invest in their town, I mean, they probably already know, what their town is like, but do you suggest they still go out and ask all these questions?
Absolutely. Waiters are your best friends.
Because they know who comes in that area.
They know everything. Like, how hard is it to get a rental here? I'm trying to find something. And they're like, oh my God, so-and-so's moving, and like all these employers are coming in. It's ridiculous. My landlord just raised me by $1,000. Like, those are all the things you want to listen to, pick up on, and figure things out and make your own decision.
Yeah.
Waiters are your best. Bartenders are your best.
Yeah,
friends.
I mean, it's really just an information
Exactly.
game.
You're in there to pick up intel.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, well, that's a good tip for sure. I think a lot of people miss that, and I've never heard of anyone doing that.
I do it every single place I buy at.
That's
Even
cool.
if it's here local, I will go into that town, sit down at a restaurant.
So your method is an area you want to invest into. You go into the bar or the restaurants, you talk to the waiters or the bartenders, get as much information as you can, and do what you want with that information, pretty much.
You could do a lot with that information, but don't go during busy hours and on weekends when they're busy.
Because then no one would be able to.
Because they don't have time to
what
chit-chat with you.
What time would you say go?
I usually like to go around like 2, 3 o'clock for lunch.
2, 3 o'clock, no one's really there.
No one's really there. They only have a couple tables they're going to run.
Yeah. So give us like 3 questions you'd ask a bartender or a waiter.
Oh, so how long you been in this area? And they'll be like, oh, my whole life, right?
Yeah.
How long you been working here? This many years or this many months?
Yeah.
Like, I see a lot of new people are moving into town, and then they'll be like, oh, yeah, like I'm trying to find couple rentals, like looking for a 2-bedroom, whatever building that you're interested in.
Yeah.
If they have studios, then you're looking for a studio. If they have 1-bedrooms, then you're looking for one. And then the waiter would be like, oh, good luck finding it, like, because you also want to make sure that there's not a lot of vacancies in the area, right?
Yeah.
Your waiter is your best intel.
Yeah. So I mean, just asking
everything you want to know without telling
know.
them you're interested in that building.
So don't tell them you're interested, because I know people.
Because now they're not going to tell you.
They're not going to tell you. You want to move there. That's what you want to say, or something like that.
Yeah, like I'm looking at a 2-bedroom unit, and sometimes I will go and look at units that are vacant and see what upgrades they had done and what they're asking on rent for their units.
Yeah.
Like similar type.
Yeah.
Of building.
Okay, because I know some people go and door knock. Well, I mean, that's for trying to actually like literally buy that house. Would you recommend people to drive around and find, beat down houses, shitty houses, and then try and talk to the owners and be like, are you interested in selling this place? Because obviously there's a lot of value add to houses that look like crap.
Mm-hmm.
And they could, you would think you could go and buy it for a steal, fix it up, and then sell it for a markup or rent it for whatever amount. You recommend doing that?
I don't do it.
Yeah.
It works for some people, but I don't recommend doing it because in my eyes, and that could be my hang up, that person that's selling it to is getting the bad end of the stick. Why? Because you're going to pay them shit.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to pay them top dollar. If
Yeah.
they list it on the open market,
well, obviously they're not
going
to pay him top dollar because...
No.
Well, but the place is beat.
the place is beat, but you're gonna get more for your beat up place if you go on the open market.
But
and
I
the
think
strategy usually people take, they say you don't have to pay real estate commission. Okay, great. You just saved 2-3% on real estate commission, and you took a shit beating out of you,
yeah.
and
Well,
left 100,000 on the table, perhaps, because
yeah.
that wholesaler just wholesaled it to somebody else for $100,000 more, and it works for people. That's great. Do it.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah. No, that's interesting because, I mean, I think to some degree, some people who have these beat houses might think in their head, like, it's more of like a convenience thing and they could get out if they don't, like, they wouldn't want to be there anymore. They can get out quicker rather than waiting for, like, because a real estate agent's not going to list the house, like, beat up.
They will.
They will?
Mm-hmm. They will.
And they'll
And
still
it's
sell
an
it for
investor
more.
special, and you will sell it more because now it's in the open market.
Yeah.
And guess what? You want to invest, he wants to invest, this person wants to invest. Now you have 3, 4, 5, 10 offers. But when you only have one interested party, you don't know if that's your best offer on the table.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I guess in terms of like, I guess anyone who has, I guess, a beat property, don't sell it to a wholesaler or a door knocker, right? Go get $100,000 more. But I mean, you can get, well, I mean, in this market, you say it's slowing down.
It's slowing down, but there's a lot of people out there that are still looking, that wanting to buy. Our properties, about 45% of homes are selling in the first 30 days, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that are priced right. The sellers that are priced still too high are the ones that are sitting.
Okay. I heard like some people price it like pretty low, and then it creates like a bidding war, and then it actually sells higher than what market would be. Is that a thing?
It's a risk. It's a risk in today's market.
Yeah.
Because what can end up happening is you will get, let's say you listed a property for $500,000 and it's worth $650,000.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'll list it for $500,000. I'll sell it for $680,000 because I'm so low, $150,000 under, right?
Yeah.
That's true. What happens if you don't get that offer for $650,000?
Well, how long do these? Well, I guess you'd look at the time frame. How long do people usually expect to get like a bidding war when they list a property?
First week.
First week.
If you didn't get it your first week, you're done.
Okay.
And then what happens? Week 1, an offer comes in. You listed at $500,000. Your home is really worth $650,000.
Yeah.
And you got an offer for $500,000. You need to ask yourself, is it okay with me? Can I let it go?
Yeah, in the
knowingly that I just left $150,000 on the table.
Yeah, so it's really a risk. It could go both ways.
It's a risk. In today's market, it's a risk. I don't recommend it. If your home is worth $650,000, I would probably go $600,000 if you really, really have to sell.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't list it for $500,000.
Okay.
And I've seen that.
That makes sense. Well, I know. So you did real estate. You know, you would sell properties and help people buy properties for a while, I think, before you started investing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are trying to get into real estate now, being an agent, you know, and I even wanted to at one point.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to go to all your events, all your, you know, speaking seminars. And
right.
What would you say in this highly saturated market where everyone and their mothers and fathers want to be an agent because they think they're going to get rich, be Ryan Serhant on TV? What do you say to those people? What can put you at a competitive edge against everyone else to really be a top 1% agent?
How are you different from everyone else?
How are you different from everyone else?
What separates you?
No, I'm asking you.
How am I different?
Yeah. What puts you at the top of agents? What's your secret?
Investments. I mean, it's really.
But in the beginning, when you were.
That was hard. It took me a year to figure it out. I won't lie to you. I didn't sell anything for a year. That was really, really hard. And my husband would constantly ask me, like when people would come and say, I want you to give me 2% back. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Why would I do that? And Joe would say, like, well, how are you different? Because this person is giving him 2% back.
Yeah.
Like, you're not providing any value to this person. Why would they pay you 3%?
Yeah.
So I had to do deep soul searching and figure things out on how am I different? What value do I bring to the table where people are like, holy shit, she's worth every penny.
Yeah.
right? And that when I got in with the banks, actually, that was the difference for me.
Okay.
Like, I know that world, how banks operate, and then that kind of got me into working with investors. And obviously, working with investors is the edge the difference that I have to offer, and being an investor myself.
Yeah. So I guess for real estate agents now, like, what separates you from the rest? What is the difference between you and the million other agents that are all trying to sell or whatever the same house?
It's the system that I have in place. A lot of times my clients would come to me and we're evaluating a property. Like, oftentimes agents would come and they say, oh, I work with a lot of investors. And I had an agent school me the other day on investment properties, and she's freaking renting. I'm like, you don't even own a house. Why are you schooling me? Like, what are you doing, right? But, sometimes they'll say, I own properties. And it's like, no, owning one or two fourplexes does not make you an expert.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
You really need to live and breathe in this world. It's a different breed of people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, having my team of contractors that I have in place, knowing the math and being able to break these things down for my clients. Like, somebody new that comes in, I hold their hand from beginning to the end. Once they stabilize their first building, by the time the second one comes rolling, they already know what they're doing. And they have all my contractors, my attorneys, everybody that they need. Like, their team is built up, the system is in place, they can go on and succeed on their own.
Okay.
That's the difference.
That's the difference, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Kind of coaching, training, I suppose, in a way, without charging them any extra money, because I get paid when they buy.
And I think, I'm not an agent, or I don't buy and sell real estate, but I think a huge competitive advantage to agents would be media. Having a huge following, I think, could help a lot of people, because if you don't have, the relationships that you've built for 10, 15 years, if you don't have like the foundations, one competitive edge you could have is having almost like a facade on social media to get people, at least to get eyes on you, at least to see what you're doing. You know what I mean? Buying and selling. Do you think that could also be a way for newer agents, instead of just kind of like being, not visible at all? Because it's either you're going to be visible through word of mouth or media, social media, I feel like.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Investors, it's not a welcoming industry to newcomers.
Yeah.
Investment world, right?
Yeah.
It's hostile
to
newcomers.
Yeah.
And like, we don't really go around blabbing around and talking about like how we invest or what we do or like whatever. We don't have time.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things on daily basis that you get inundated with that like you don't really have time, unless you have like a camera crew that follows you around, and then they edit and do everything. Then yeah, sure, throw that on social media. But that's like one less thing. And for me, it's like, do I really want more of that headache on my hands? Because now I'm going to get a lot of newbies and a lot of unnecessary questions coming my way because somebody was lazy to do their research.
Yeah.
And they just think it'd be easier to ask me. I don't know. I go back and forth. I'm torn.
Yeah. I think that I feel like, people asking questions constantly on social media could just keep, because if they're asking that question, I'm sure 1,000 other people have that same question. So you could just take that question and just answer it, broadcast it through social media, I feel like, instead of going one by one. And I think that could be, for newer agents, a solid way. And you've been saying a lot of people asking you questions. What's the dumbest question you've got? I'm sure you have a lot.
Oh my God. There's two that I could think of the top of my head right now, right away.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out which one was worse. So I'll let you decide.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Let's hear the worst. Which one do you think?
Which one I think the worst?
Yeah.
So new investor calls me.
Yeah.
And she says, we would like to buy an investment property. I was like, sweet, let's get you pre-approved.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, oh, no, we're not qualified. Or we don't have down payment, she said.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, they were renting. I said, we can do like house hacking where you can buy like 5-bedroom home and then you live in a master bedroom and then rent out others. Like I'm coming up with all these different ideas.
Yeah.
And if we do that, it's owner occupied, so you only need 3.5% down. That's not a lot of down payment. Oh no, we don't have that much either. I was like, okay, well, I guess we have to wait a couple years or months or whatever, however long it takes you to save down payment, and then we'll circle back to this.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, our credit is also bad. I was like, okay, well, how can I help you then?
Yeah.
And she goes, how about this? You put the money up, you purchase the place, we'll go on title together, and then when we sell it, we split it 50-50. I was like, say what? What are we doing again?
So she's basically saying, you take on all the risk, you sell it, and we go 50-50.
And I said, why? And she goes, well, I have to start somewhere. She was like so entitled and baffled. She's like, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't do this?
Yeah.
How does everybody begin? I'm like, okay, we're done, sister. I can't do this.
Yeah. So I guess then what's the set? Because that was pretty dumb. That was a pretty dumb proposal. What's the second, I guess, worse?
So the second one, I have a list. Like a lot of times agents will say like you need 1,000 people on your Rolodex that you can work with and or sell to for you to be consistent.
Yeah.
I just did my Christmas cards. It was 47 people.
Okay.
Or families.
For families?
Like 47 families like that are my clients.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's my Rolodex. That's how many people I work with.
Yeah.
You don't need thousands of people because the beauty with investors, they buy again and again and again. I have some people that will buy every 2 to 3 months, right? So I have people, when I say jump, they say how high.
Yeah.
Like I don't need new investors that will suck the life and energy out of me.
Yeah.
So this one person comes over, we meet in a parking lot, and he's like, wow, I'm really impressed. I would like to work with you. How about this?
Wait, let me step back. Why are you guys meeting in a parking lot?
Because I just showed him a place.
Oh, okay.
We were looking at
That
a
makes
fourplex
sense.
or whatever it was. I can't remember.
Okay.
It was a
okay.
multifamily we looked at.
Okay.
He goes, I'll buy it with you. No, he didn't like that particular building. He wanted to go to out of state where I was at. He goes, I'll buy it with you and you throw me a great deal in there that I can pick up and purchase. I was like, first of all, I don't have license in that state. Second of all, I don't even ask my agent to give me a referral fee when I buy with him because I don't want him to worry about having to pay me a couple $1,000 referral and missing out on a great deal, making millions potentially. Why in the hell am I giving you this? Like what are we talking about? I'm so confused. And I have people in my database that I can say jump, they say how high and they're grateful and thankful. And then he goes, and then you give me 2% back on your commission. I was like, yeah, I don't know if we can work together.
That's tough. I feel like in most businesses, I've never heard of something like that, to be honest with you. That's crazy.
I didn't work with them.
Well, yeah, of course not. What would you say your favorite things would be in this world, whether it's investing or outside personal?
Traveling. When we travel.
How many countries? You've been to a lot of countries.
47.
47. How many countries are there's like how many
190,
countries? 50?
I think.
190?
I think.
So you've been to a fourth of all countries. Do you think you're going to get all 190 or however many?
I hope so. I hope so. And that's our end goal at the end of the day.
47. Holy shit.
You want to know what my favorite?
What's your favorite?
Africa.
South Africa.
In general, Africa, like safari.
Right.
We go there every 2 years.
Yeah.
And we do usually different areas. Been to Botswana, Namibia, South Africa.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about Africa?
When you show up,
yeah,
there's no telephones.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Wi-Fi. There's no TV. The whole world can blow up. You wouldn't even know it. It is completely isolated. It is zen. Like you wake, the sun sets and the sun rises and the animals, and like you're so humbled so quickly when you come across this giant elephant just rustling calmly and slowly walking right towards you, and you're just like in tears. You're like, holy smokes, I'm not the only big person around here in this world.
Yeah.
There's other things out there.
And do you think traveling has really gave you perspective on, you know what I mean, going outside of the US and then coming back and being like, you know, life is so much different in other countries.
Parts of the world. We have it so good here.
We have it so good.
Yeah.
Does that really, you come back and I'm sure, I mean, I haven't traveled at all like you, and like I think about that sometimes. Like if I went to certain places where they don't have certain things, you come back and you're like, I have everything.
We do. I think it's not that they don't have certain things. They make it look like they do. And
Yeah.
you know they try very hard to appease you and please you and
Yeah.
make sure you have everything you need. It's the fact that these people will work for 3 months at a time before they can see their family. And here we're bitching because we're sitting in traffic for 1 hour trying to get home, where they can't get to their family for 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's usually for 1 week. And they have to travel for 10 hours one direction, drive home to see their family for a week. Those usually really put things into perspective for me.
Yeah. Aside from Africa, where else would you say was kind of your like?
Italy, I love.
Italy?
Absolutely.
What
love
part
it.
of Italy?
Florence, Tuscany, like just, you know,
That,
out in
like,
the countryside.
Country vibe, yeah.
Countryside.
Yeah.
We did Champagne region last April.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool too. Beautiful rolling hills
Yeah.
in France.
In France. Oh, yeah, because France and Italy are like right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Do you see yourself going back to Tajikistan and maybe getting a little property there?
No.
Renting out units?
They're
raising...
so unstable.
Yeah.
They're so unstable.
You don't want to invest in your homeland?
No, and they don't have. So that's another thing. Let's go back and take a look. What do they have to bring tourism? They have beautiful scenery. They got mountains. They got a lot of the things and history that they can offer to bring people in to attract tourists. But the government is too backwards to get it up and rolling. If they had tourism, sure, I would invest and maybe do some Airbnb there, but I don't see any prospects of it. Corruption is too great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that, you know, we had a great talk today. We talked a lot of things, and I think that your book is coming out in like a couple of months.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
If my editor and I can agree on things.
I think you should do it your way, honestly.
I agree.
I think that your way
Everybody else is taken.
I think that if you fit into kind of how everyone else wants you to fit in, you told me yourself, how are you going to differentiate yourself?
How are you different? You're right.
How are you going to be different? So I think that it's called
Real Estate Investing, Nothing Held Back. Be on the lookout for it.
Be on the lookout, coming soon. And yeah, we should do
hopefully 2023 early.
Oh, that's in like 20 days. So you're going to be ready in 20 days.
The editing will be done on my part within 2 weeks. And then
Okay.
whenever she does line editing and finishes, then I'll self-publish it.
Okay.
It'll
And it'll
on
be
Amazon.
affordable for everyone, yeah.
Yeah, the price I'm trying to figure out, but it'll be less
Anyone.
than your dinner price,
Yeah.
dinner ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Or dinner receipt.
Okay, well, it was great having this podcast. We're definitely going to do this again, give you guys more tips and tricks. I'm sure you have a lot more to offer with information. And, yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.